With Chapter 1 of the Battlefield 5 Tides of War now over, players are waiting for information on Chapter 2, called Lightning Strikes. The in-game tile for Tides of War has now been updated, and we know the launch date of the next chapter is January 17th. Now, some of you might have that same tile saying January 16th, but that's okay. The official start time of the Lightning Strikes chapter is midnight on the 17th of January in Europe, which is of course still the 16th of January in America and other parts of the Western world. The chapter will go live at the same time for everyone. It just depends on where you live as to what time or date that will actually be. The first chapter event within Lightning Strikes will be called A Few Good Soldiers, and will likely take on a similar form to Chapter 1's events where a challenge tree will lead us to an unlock of some sort. At the moment, however, DICE hasn't dropped details about what these challenges will be and what these unlocks will be either. The date and time for the start of Lightning Strikes has actually angered quite a lot of people in the community over the last couple of days. Lots thought that the moment Chapter 1 ended, Chapter 2 would start, and we'd be led on into another set of challenges as part of DICE's push to make sure there are always things to do for the players of Battlefield 5. With lots reaching rank 50 cap for their career rank, many players are looking to DICE for their next move, and to see the start date of Chapter 2 set over a week and a half after the end of Chapter 1, we are being left with a little bit of a void here. However, I think there is a very good reason for this between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. DICE and EA have just today only returned from their Christmas break, as I'm sure many of you out there watching this video have as well. The last 2 weeks or so have been filled with lots of time spent with family, friends, and celebrating the holiday season. We know that patches are in the works for Battlefield 5, but one has not landed yet to deliver the content for Chapter 2, and so the chapter can't start until that content is actually in the game and ready to go. Because the team hasn't been working over the holidays, the patches are, for want of a better phrase, running a little bit behind schedule, although it could have always been planned that the patch didn't arrive until January. The holidays do just slow everything down in general, and video games and their live services aren't immune to that. With that being said, as we move through 2019 and we see more chapters come and go for Battlefield 5, I think EA and DICE needs to get out ahead of the game here and start communicating in a much more effective way. For example, the community had no idea of the start time or date for Chapter 2 of the Tides of War prior to the tile in-game being updated, and we all knew that we'd be going through the holiday season where little to no communication was going to come out over a 2 or 3 week period, and Chapter 1 would end right at the end of that holiday period as well. So the confusion comes because I think a lot of people just assumed the next chapter was going to start, but because nobody was told it was actually going to start, we're now left with this scenario where some people are a little bit upset. I think the details surrounding that date and time, that should have been communicated in a blog post or something just before the breakup for the holidays. That way you're setting a solid expectation for the community. Now, I understand that with a live service system, EA and DICE can be much more flexible with their patches, their updates, and the content they're delivering, but their communication about all of that also needs to adapt as well. If you leave the community without vital information like here, with the next set of challenges and content when that's going to arrive, that isn't a good standard to be setting, and I do hope the team tightens things up throughout 2019. You only have to look at how long it took for EA and DICE to produce a blog about their airlift items for the Deluxe Edition to see what kind of problem we already have with communication for this game. Those airlift items were sold as part of the Deluxe Edition, which of course was marketed before the launch of the game, and the blog post detailing those items didn't arrive until nearly a month after the game launched, when some of those items had already been given out and people didn't even realise what those items were. There was no in-game messaging of what items were and were not airlifts, and this just left players confused. The teams need to work more effectively and efficiently to really get ahead of the game. Literally, get out in front of your own updates and start communicating a little bit more effectively. So much communication so far has been reactionary to issues that have been raised by the community, rather than being proactive and setting good expectations. EA and DICE are kind of on this constant repair streak for Battlefield 5. They need to get out in front and start controlling the conversation again, and hopefully the community will respond positively to that. But there we are, a week or so until Chapter 2 starts, and I expect we will see a major Battlefield 5 patch drop before that day, updating the game with plenty of the content that we can expect in the chapter. Once we know more about what that patch includes, I'll produce a video wrapping it all up for you, so you're bang up to date with the game. But thank you very much for watching today, leave some comments down below, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications switched on, click that bell next to subscribe, and make sure they are on, and that way you won't miss the patch video when I post it. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.